everyone, welcome to the Pixelated Podcast, so we talk about your favourite games from your favourite history. I am Dagaming Saurus, your host today, and I am joined by 3 other people. Please welcome Retro Kaiju.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the podcast.
And here we have Kiki.
Peekaboo, nice to meet you.
And finally we have Seriously Funny.
Groovy!
Oh, gee, that was loud on my end, yikes.
Oh, jeez. So...
Okay. Yes, so the podcast is going to be focusing specifically on good old video games, and if you don't know what that is, then you've been living under a rock.
I certainly hope you haven't.
Yeah, were you like Patrick Star?
No, that'd be me.
Hey, Patrick Star lives under a rock and he still would know what a video game is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why don't you tell them about our topic for today, buddy?
Yeah, our topic today is a simple one. Our favourite video games. And for this, we have prepared a top 5 list of our own. And we will go into little detail, not too much, because otherwise this would be like 3 hours long. But just a little tiny detail about why we like these games so much and how it means to us personally. So, I think we will start with the good old man at the house, Retro. He will start us off. So, tell us what's on the number 1 on your top 5 best video games, buddy.
Oh, that's an easy one. That's got to be that has to belong to Donkey Kong Country 2, and for good reason. All right, so be me. You're a Donkey Kong fan. Not a lot of people really talk about Donkey Kong, so you're pretty lonely. You find out one of your favorite games on the Super Nintendo, one of your favorite systems ever known, comes out with its sequel. And you're not really expecting it to be anything other than maybe an extension of the original formula. Cool, right? Nah, not even close. This game makes you feel things, bro. I genuinely mean it when I say that this game, right here, Donkey Kong Country 2, it is one of the most influential games I've ever played. For one, it taught me things as a kid. When you are playing this game, you're playing as Diddy Kong, you're probably not thinking much of it, but the thing is, in the manual, it even says he's a wannabe. He's a nobody. Pardon me. He is an absolute nobody. Nobody really cares about Diddy Kong, he was just the player too. And Cranky Kong actually insists that you prove him wrong. You can do this. You can rise to the challenge. And you can become that video game star that you were meant to be. Because, let's face it, Diddy Kong himself, in the realm of Nintendo, has made a point. He is more than just the player too. He is his own character now. And it all started with Donkey Kong Country 2. It taught me that no matter how small you are, no matter how insignificant you are, you can make great things happen, and you can overcome any challenge. Just like here. Yeah, us over here on the channel. We're trying to do that. We are having our very own Kong quest, if you will.
Indeed we are, my dear friend. And that is a beautiful story of love, tragedy, and hellfire. So,
absolutely.
I think I will go next. So on my top list here, on number 1 we have Microsoft Home's Oceans, released for Windows 95 and Windows XP. That is a very special game to me. I guess you could say it's something to do with, well, edutainment games. Anyone who's played any sort of edutainment games will know probably about Microsoft Homes, although they might be more endorsed with Microsoft Encarta, which was basically Wikipedia before Wikipedia, and it was sort of like birthed multimedia encyclopedias. And the one I loved the most was Microsoft Oceans, because when I was little, I was fascinated with the sea, the ocean, and all the life that was in it. And my gran had like a disc of Microsoft Oceans in her house that I would always use on her computer. And I would just stare at everything for hours and listen to the music, listen to the audio tracks, listen to the audio guides. So it's basically anything I could think of. And I think specifically this game awakened my love for animals, my love for the ocean, my love for ambient music like waves, vaporwave music, and just overall just was a magical experience for me, and it's something I really need to revisit once I find that blasted disc. But I think it's stuck in the disc drive.
No.
That blows. But it's actually kind of funny you mentioned something like this, because I actually grew up with something very, very much the same as you. Only it was, it had to have been presented even more so differently. It was a 3D. I believe it was called 3D Ocean Adventure or 3D Sea Adventure. It was made by a little company known as Knowledge Adventure. They ended up making a few different games, all 3D something adventure, but this one in particular was a game where, alongside your usual, thesaurus, your dictionaries and things like that of the sea creatures of the ocean floor, it also had a 3D game where you were trying to find certain animals under a time limit. So it looked a little bit like one of those very early 3D kind of games. You know one, something as similar to maybe Wolfenstein or Doom or something like that, but just take out the shooting, and instead you're interacting with JPEGs on the ocean floor with animals that talk, and I remember this one animal. It was the manatee. And you would go and talk to him. It was one of the missions. And he would go say really something stupid, but it was like I love the taste of kelp. It really goes down the throat extra nice, or something like that. It was the absolute stupidest thing, but I remember that thing like 30-something fucking years later. Or 20-something fucking years later. I'm not that old. But so many years later, and I can still remember that stupid voice.
I like the way it goes down my throat.
It was really like that. It was so silly. And, edutainment games are so much fun. I can't wait to talk about those in a later
we need to get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I will hand the torch over to Kiki. So what's the first game on your list, Kiki?
Solitaire.
What? I mean, all right.
No, it's not. But just wanted to put in a little joke thingy. My list is in no real particular order because, But the one that I have in my number one spot is the Neverhood Chronicles, with an honorable mention to Earthworm Jim. Because To Naples games were the first I've ever played, period. And Neverhood was one that I really fell in love with because of the character. Clayman just couldn't talk, and I was not able to talk, period, until I was 4 years old, and I wasn't able to formulate sentences until I was 6.5, 7 years old. So I connected to him on that point, and then I just kind of fell off of the bandwagon for years until high school, when I was overlooking the Let's Play scene. Little sister, as much trouble as I've talked about off of the stream, she was watching a Let's Play of the Neverhood, and I started watching it again because I remembered it, and I just fell in love with it again. Saw all the fandom that was around it, and I just really connected to Clayman as a character. He was just a sweet doof that knew nothing, and I know nothing.
Yeah.
Man, what a fantastic game to come out with, though.
Yeah.
I remember. It's funny. I never actually grew up with the Neverhood. I'm so sorry that I'm the only one talking around here, but it's okay. Anyway, I grew up with the Neverhood. I did not grow up with the Neverhood. What am I saying? I never grew up with the Neverhood. I never got to grow up with the Neverhood. But if it wasn't for one of the people around here, actually, that got me to want to check it out, it was actually Sinful. The character created Tin Cans. Hopefully you'll see her in an episode someday.
You see her at the end of Earthworm Jim 2.
That is very much true.
Yeah.
That is very much true. But so if it wasn't for them, actually, I actually wouldn't have ever really given the Neverhood a chance, I feel like. And that's a dang shame, because, like, here's the thing. Point-and-click adventures to me are a one-and-done kind of game, and that's not a bad thing if that's all you're looking for, but I'm a guy for replayability, at least a good enough times. The Neverhood itself has some really crazy puzzles that even I needed to look up a walkthrough, unfortunately, because I am not the smartest guy on the planet. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. So,
Nah.
so I am that guy that looks up to these, and I'd probably pull a Duke Nukem. I hate valve puzzles, and probably shoot the damn thing if I couldn't go. But the Neverhood to me, though, despite all of that being a thing, is such an awesome looking game. I love claymation, for one. The fact that it took 2 whole frickin' tons of clay itself just to get the game to even look the way it does is mind-boggling to me. And it just... everything about it is just, it's just so weird. Like, I think, genuinely, if we ever had, like, a top 5 music choices...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the Neverhood is at or near the top.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
music. It's music, it sort of skyrocketed my love for jazz, and not to mention, especially for nowadays with the whole troll culture, this soundtrack did trolling and memeing before trolling and memeing was cool. I mean, heck,
Yeah.
this is by DreamWorks. This is by the same people that did the Bee movie. You like jazz? Here's some jazz for you.
You like jazz?
You like jazz?
Fantastic choice, love.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And I will move on to the next one. We're going to move on to Seriously Funny. So what we're going to talk about here then, Funny?
Okay, so just to be clear, we're talking from this list, we're going from 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
It doesn't matter, because they're in no particular order for you.
I was going to say, for most of us, it's no particular order, unlike me. But you go on ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start from number 5 and work my way up to the top then. Number 5 on my list would be Super Mario 64. Mainly because, not only what it did for me personally, because when I first saw this back in 1996, like it did for most people at the time, it blew my fucking mind as how great this game looked. Not just as a launch title, but just as a 3D game in general. This is the game that pretty much pioneered what the 3D platformer is supposed to be. I know some folks will probably look at, Sonic 3D Blast or Bubsy 3D or even Crash Bandicoot and be like, those are the ones that did it. Like, no, Mario 64 is where it really took off because they thought of, like, stuff right off the bat. Like, just simple things like, if you tilt the control stick just a little bit, he just tiptoes. If he tilts it further, he walks. If you tilt it even further, he runs. So that sort of stuff wasn't really even thought of even back then by most other developers. And, like, little things like that go a long way, in my honest opinion. So, yeah.
Solid choice. I mean, I'll say this. I myself have... I mean, we've all played Mario 64. I feel that other games in the genre do it better, but I will not be the guy to say that Super Mario 64 is anything bad. That would be the stupidest thing imaginable. But I'm gonna say this: despite the controls themselves not aging as well as I would hope that they did, I mean, it's not Mario World or Mario 3. Let's be honest here. It isn't something as simple as that. So obviously you're gonna feel that difference in the controls. But the game itself is still such a fun romp to go through. I honestly might even pick it up again, just as a casual playthrough. I don't think I've ever really wanted to 100% the game in my life because I already know what's at the end. It's literally just Yoshi saying, "Hey, you want some lives?" And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah, and also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention all the mods that people have made of this game. And that I've gone as far to basically make entirely new games altogether out of that engine. It's
heck yeah.
It's crazy to think what people have been able to do in that game ever since its release.
There
Like,
have
I think
been
my
plenty
favorite
of
mod
mods.
Oh, I'm sorry, Darren. Go on ahead, bud.
There have been plenty of mods made for this game. One of my personal favorites is the Chaos Edition by Kaze Emanuwa. his mod literally turns the game into a horror game because of the fact that the game could just randomly crash, or you could have a hurricane of objects flying to you and kill you instantly, or it could take away the water and stop you from getting through the game. He made it specifically just to have fun, and actually warned the people downloading it, said that do not try to beat the game because it might not even be possible.
Oh goodness, that's interesting. I might actually have to check that out. I am deathly curious on those kind of mods.
Oh yeah.
My personal favorite mod is something very, very simple though. It's the multiplayer online mod that
Yes.
Yes, I had to say that because I mean when Jean, by the way, shout out to Jean on this one. When she showed me to it and saw that everybody else was going in and playing it, I was really skeptical. I was like, there's got to be like some type of probably like some terrible lag or something, but no, it actually runs like perfectly fine. And the fact that they brought in like characters like Toad, Peach, Frick. You can mod Pac-Man into the game. You can actually play Pac-Man World Pac-Man. In there is it's so stupid fun. I still like to personally play with Wario because I'm sorry, funny, but Wario is better than Mario. He's so much better. Oh well, shoot. I didn't expect that to. Listen, he goes from being the black brick bitch in Mario DS and actually becomes playable in this version. So any game that goes out there and takes Wario and goes, yeah, we're gonna actually make him good. I am all for it. Wario is one of my favorite characters in video game history for all intents and purposes. Just having this big fat man actually play good is just so much fun. He even has the shoulder bash. He even has the shoulder bash from the Wario Land games, which I need to go back into playing.
Okay, so let's move on to.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm setting up.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. Now we'll move on to retro again. So what's the next one on your list, retro?
Well, this was kind of hard for me to actually choose because there were so many different ones. By the way, my honorable mention was actually the Neverhood. The last minute choice of the Neverhood for me. But my number 2 spot actually would probably have to be Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower to me, it's not. I mean, it just came out last year. It is a very fresh, like a pizza, a very fresh take on the Wario Land formula, which I myself love. Wario Land. Wario Land is a great game, but I would never put it as my top 5 or anything, or even maybe not even my top 10. Honestly, Wario Land is a great game. Don't get me wrong. But it's not something that I really pay attention to, unlike the character itself. But Pizza Tower, though. Pizza Tower says, hey, let's take Wario Land 4 and actually make it frickin' crazy. It already has a way. It already ones up Wario Land 4 because the screen crunches no longer exists. Let's be honest here. The Game Boy Advance, no matter how good it was hard to see the games, not just because we didn't have a frickin' backlight until the SP, but because the screen crunch was so apparent with most of these games, it was hard to look at.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the Genesis. That was the port on the Sonic... Oh,
don't even get me started on that crap. No.
He can't even finish it.
I don't even want to finish it.
I know,
no,
it's crap.
I could never.
It's crap.
Listen, I've seen bad ports, and you know what? Sonic 1 on the GBA is not even the worst one. That goes to Earthworm Jim, and I am so sad about that.
Yeah.
I'm so sad about that.
Anyway.
But I digress.
Sorry,
Pizza Tower. No. It's okay, buddy. No, I want people to talk. I want people to talk. It's okay. But here's the thing. Pizza Tower to me is wrapped around this very crazy concept of just. I mean, we've all been there before, right? Like we've been swamped with anxiety over like some sort of thing. And, you get thrust into maybe a situation that you don't want to be in. Peppino Spaghetti himself, yes, that's his actual name. Peppino Spaghetti is that personification of every fear I've ever had, and then times it by 100 and manifest it into the real world. I mean, I have been in places where I don't ever want to visit again, and Peppino just speaks my mind, man. But to have such a character like that run and jump and attack and do all sorts of crazy crap mixed in, it's a fantastic game mixed with like some of the best music I've ever heard. I am a big man on music. I may not know how to write it, I may not know how to read it, but I know when a good song hits my eardrums.
And holy crap, does it have good songs?
Yeah,
It
especially.
does. I mean, Pizza Time, just Pizza Time itself is such a romp.
Death I Deserve Aioli, needs to be a ringtone.
Oh, for real. Like, for real. Heck, even some of the unused stuff that I've heard, like Pillar John's Revenge or something like that, I think that's what it's called. Fantastic. And the final boss music, I'm not gonna...
Expectancy!
Yeah, Expectancy.
That is a journey all on its own.
It is a journey.
Oh, hell yes.
It is an absolute journey. But this game, being mixes of, like, Earthworm Jim, those old Windows Paint, Microsoft Paint program arts, frickin' Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob, all manners of, like, the craziest crap you've ever seen, and mixes it well into this beautiful fucking... This concoction, this wonderful concoction of a game, and ships it out for, like... very little money, I might add. I only paid $10 for the dang thing, and it's given me way more enjoyment out of my time than like most AAA titles now. I think I have to say that this game quite literally is one of the greatest games I've ever played, and it's such a fun romp. You know, to the people who don't play this game, or to the people who are like. Who are not, you know, like the fans ruined it for me, and, you know, over-talking and shit. Okay, I get you. Okay? I get where you're coming from, because I did that with Deltarune and Undertale for, like, the longest time. Never played them, never bothered. But let me tell you this, okay? Ignore the fans. Just ignore them for the time, okay? Pick up the game anyway, and just play it by yourself and just meld with the game, okay? Because this game is worth it. This game is very much worth the asking price.
It's worth it just for the music alone, and even the have you heard the metal covers for it?
Oh yeah.
I've been some of those covers just go disgusting grimy, and I love it.
They really do.
Oh hell yeah!
It's
Unexpectancy.
amazing.
Unexpectancy is so epic.
It is so good.
I think my personal favorite track from that game is actually the Death That I Deserve Aioli, because it's basically just daring Death to catch you if he can.
It really is.
Yeah, just the beginning of it, it's already very cool.
For real. Honestly, I might just go back to that game again.
First of all, Pizza Time. It's Pizza Time. It begins like ominously, and then it goes into that craziness.
Mm-hmm.
But for Death I Deserve Aioli, it's kind of okay. I'm doing this again. I know what I'm doing. It's not too bad. It's picking up. It's picking up. Oh crap! I'm about to die.
It is. Before I end this little summary, though, because I'm not here to advertise Pizza Tower, but I will say this: play Pizza Tower.
I'm not here to advertise Pizza Tower, but I'm going to say this: play
please,
Pizza Tower.
Please, for those of you who are actually listening to us, and you're not a person who played Pizza Tower, play Pizza Tower. You will not regret it.
Yes, please.
That's all I have to say on the
Please
matter.
do play it.
Yes, I can vouch for being an absolute time to play. It's even a fun time to watch, because we were watching you play throughout that entire game. Hell, dude, when you P-ranked that final boss, we were fucking cheering. It was, that was a sight to behold, man. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that was a journey. Listen, I can't P-rank the levels. I'm too slow and stupid for that kind of shit. But the bosses themselves are some of the... They are deceptively fun. Okay, they don't look like it at first, but that final boss, let me tell you, they pull a King K. Rool during that whole thing, and they fake you out like at least a couple of times.
Yeah, they fake you out twice.
I took how many days? How many weeks did it take me? I think it took me like 2 weeks to actually get done. But I finally did it, and I screamed for joy.
We all did.
We all did.
Yes.
It was glorious. For the love of God, I can't. No, this is now my top favorite Pizza Towers. Please play Pizza Tower for the love of God, and all that is holy. And
Thank you for coming to our podcast.
Fantastic game. Please play Pizza Tower. All right, I'm shutting up now.
Okay, alright. So it's time for me to move on to my second favourite game I've got on this list, and that would be Mohun Kart 2, released on the PC. Now, this is a game that probably nobody has heard of, and that is for good reason, because it was made in Germany by a German company. You may know it...
I thought it was... I'm sorry. I was going to say,
you may
yes,
know it
Germany.
as...
Germany, made by a German company. No, it was a German game made in Japan. I'm sorry, I'm shutting up.
It's okay. It was released as Crazy Chicken in other parts of the country. I think specifically it might have been known as Crazy Chicken in the USA, but I live in the UK, so it was called Mohun Kart 2 here.
Better name.
But basically, it's basically your standard shovelware Mario Kart clone. But what I think separates that experience from the rest, is that I actually played that game before Mario Kart, if you could believe it. When I was little, I had it on my grand's PC, like from before, but I also loved it so much that I got my dad to get another copy so he could play it at home, and I loved it. The game is incredibly brief. It's only like 2 cups long with 4 tracks each, but the music is so goddamn addicting. I think Retro can vouch for the music on that one, because I made him listen to it.
I very well can, yeah.
It's very bouncy, especially the menu music track specifically is the one I love the most. It did get a port to the PS2, which is, I'm happy to say, is actually functional and works. But I do know they also got a pretty bad port to the Nintendo Switch, and it basically bastardized everything the original game had. So, it's a bit unfortunate, but the tracks are incredibly fun. The animations are very funny sometimes. And, come on, where else are you going to play as a character called... basically has the same name for bullfrog in German, and that's it. Even in the English translation, it's just bullfrog in German.
Oh, good.
And yeah, it's a game that I think it's like a guilty pleasure for me, because it's short but sweet, and you know, since I played it before Mario Kart, it got me into the racing game scene. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that, really. Not
That's
much really, because it's a short game.
I was gonna say that is honestly a very nice take. I know I keep bringing myself into these. I'm sorry, but I have a lot of experience with a lot of these things.
This is your channel, dude. Talk as much as you want.
I know,
Yes,
I
please.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, in any case, I myself, being someone who's actually strived to, I've actually leaned away from Mario Kart. And there's not really any good of a reason aside from the games themselves are just too slow. I'm sorry, like I gotta say it. Aside from, I think the last genuinely good Mario Kart I've played was the one on the DS. And aside from that, I mean, they don't really do anything too crazy nowadays. And with Mario Kart 8 being as long in the tooth as it has, they're just putting out more content that keeps bringing people back, I guess. But like, I've never really cared much about any of that kind of stuff. I'd rather have picked up the game and it just be finished. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't you just miss it when you put a game into the console, you turn it on and bang, there it is in all its entirety. Yeah, that'd be nice. But I am genuinely glad that a game like Mohun speaks out to you for something like this, because I'll be honest, I find more enjoyment out of the games that I don't understand more than the game that I can understand immediately. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that it's like a mist of mystery that you just need to clear out and see this thing for yourself. And from what you've shown me, the game itself actually does pretty well. But that music, man, I'm telling you, that's toe-tapping music right there. Like,
yeah, and
it may not be in my top 5. Oh, sorry, go on.
So it's such a shame that I have no idea who made the music.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I can't find the guy who made the music, and it stinks because it's still some pretty damn good music.
That I have no idea who made it.
Yeah, I mean, it's no Pizza Tower or anything, but like I don't expect it to. It's still good toe tapping, finger snapping music. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. But,
Okay.
You know, it's funny. When you say that Mario Kart is slow, the first thing that pops in my mind is that one Sega Genesis commercial where they put Super Mario Kart next to Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh God, I remember that. Oh, good Lord, I was there for that kind of stuff.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, well, yeah, because they were trying to. See, that's the worst game you could have ever possibly put on. Why not just put Mario World on there? It would have made more sense. To put a game that looks better in 3D, like I still think that that Super Effects chip not Super Effects chip. I don't think. No, I'm thinking Star Fox and Yoshi's Island. Mode 7, thank you. Yes. Mode 7. That Mode 7 for Super Mario Kart is phenomenal. I love that. It looks so good to me, and it's not just because I'm putting on my nostalgia glasses. If anything, I have more nostalgia for Mario 64. Or for Mario Kart 64, but the fact that they put that next to Sonic 2 and just expected people to buy it, I mean, yeah, it's sold, but, like, did anybody really sit there and say, yeah, I bought Sonic 2 because I saw Mario Kart and thought it looked dumb? Nobody.
So you didn't buy into the whole blast processing propaganda?
No, not even close. And it sucks too because I was like the poster boy for that shit. I didn't even grow up with a Sega Genesis until a little later in my teen years. Like just when I hit 13, or actually no, not even when I hit 13. It was like around 11 years old. And I know that's like saying then you were still like a very young kid. You still grew up with a Genesis, but You got to remember, I even said it in the very first episode, I grew up with stuff like the NES. I grew up with stuff like the Atari 2600. Those I had first. And it took me about a good 10 years after that war was over just to see what the Genesis had. And yeah, I still grew up with the Genesis. I was very lucky to have a family who owned any of those Sega merchandise, like the Sega Genesis. But yeah, no, I never technically grew up with that propaganda in mind. Honestly, I'm starting to lean towards the Sega Genesis being better than the Super Nintendo, just because of the advertising for it. Like they had some pretty sketchy freaking advertisements that you could never get away with now.
Nope.
No, never.
Like remember when you showed us the Earthworm Jim advertisements? Like, oh, you can finally play with your worm or something like that.
Oh God!
It's like, oh my God! Like,
when
this
it's not
was
suggestive,
loud.
it's creepy as all hell. Like with the grandma eating the worms.
Oh.
Didn't that get banned in the UK?
Oh God! But yeah, no. So the propaganda I never grew up with, and honestly, I don't know if it would have ever sold me on getting a Sega Genesis immediately. Although some of the games would have definitely done. Hey, Golden Axe. Hey, Vector Man. Hey, Earthworm Jim. That's better than the one I grew up with on the Super Pretendo.
We'll get to that. But,
yeah, we'll get up to that.
Oh, we will.
Anyway, shutting up now. Go on ahead.
All right. So next up is Kiki. So what else do we have, Kiki?
Okay, for me, well, sorry for ruining your More Hunt thing to make it just carts in general. But my number 2, again in no particular order, and also has an honorable mention, is Nights into Dreams with the honorable mention of Klonoa because of the dream theme of it all.
Oh yeah, you told me before that you absolutely loved the whole dream attire.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, I discovered Nights not on the Sega Saturn. I discovered Nights like a decade later as an ad for Sega Superstars for the iToy.
Oh yeah, I remember that shit. I actually have an iToy looking at me right now.
Yeah. And it's judging your every movement.
It hates me.
But the thing is, like, for Nights, I didn't get into it because of the gaming thing. As far as gaming is concerned, I am not that skilled. I got into it because of, yes, the dream aesthetic, but also for all the whole story behind it. Like, it was the first time I really delved into a franchise's backstory and lore instead of the game itself. And it was my absolute obsession during high school before I got back into the Neverhood. And I was there when they announced that there was going to be Journey of Dreams. So, which was a massive development. Like, 15 years later, finally there's another game coming out. I was there listening to the alpha fans patter on about how excited they were, and then how disappointed they were that the game didn't do so well, how they were looking for Riala's voice actor because nobody knew, not even the people that were casting the actors would remember where the voice actor is. They were there campaigning. I was there when they were campaigning for Nights to be on Xbox Live Arcade. It was just a major thing, but the real reason I went into the Nights thing was because I was really enamored with the story. And it's mentioned nowhere in the game. Like, you kind of got a glimpse into it with the cutscenes after when the demos started going up. But it's never outright obvious. You have to go into the deep lore to find out, this boss is actually representative of this character's dad, or this boss is representative of their fear of whatever. And they really went deep into the research of the game itself in order to get the characters right and that whole colorful aesthetic and that sort of. They were inspired by Cirque du Soleil, so of course they got that Cirque du Soleil thing going on for Nights.
Yeah.
So Gilwing, the first boss, Gilwing, is representative of the girl character's dad, and Puffy, who is a giant ball bunny, an opera-singing ball bunny, is representative of another character's mother. So there's your symbolism right there.
I don't want that image in my head. You've ruined it. No!
But regardless, it's really well deep if you decide to go into it, if you decide to delve into what's in the background, because on the surface, it's a little arcadey type game. You're trying to fly around, you're getting all the points, you're beating up the bosses, and there's no real story that's being said out there except for what you make.
Right.
And it's a shame that they don't really have a story to it. They were trying to do that with Journey of Dreams and then fell flat with how bad the voice acting is. I swear Helen is a cardboard Q-tip with how well she is acting.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Regardless, though, I enjoy Nights. I like Nights.
Hey, there's a lot
of
to
comics, which the fans hate.
Oh, good lord! Listen, I may not have grown up with that kind of game at all, at all.
I didn't either.
But I can still appreciate what they did. I want to actually try getting for one, getting the original game up is incredibly hard, so I have to.
Hopefully, the folks aren't going to keep my Saturn my Saturn captive.
They better not.
I have a Saturn and I have the game.
We need to get that. I want to get that and Bug.
Ah.
Yeah. I grew up with the. Funny might remember these more than anyone else here. Remember when they were putting out Sega Saturn games as Sega PC games back in the day?
Yeah.
It was stuff like Sonic R. There was Sonic CD. There was Bug 2, I think.
Sonic 3D Blast.
Sonic 3D Blast. Yeah, I actually still have my CD up there with the dual case inside. I grew up with a lot of these games actually, and I just so happened to have bought Bug. It's a shame that they didn't do that with Knights either, because I remember very much they had some type of, I think it was called Baku Baku, where it was like a I don't know how to even, it was like a Puyo clone thing, but with weird ass animals. And
Oh, God.
I was just thinking to myself just now, why did they push so hard for that game when they could have put Knights on the PC and everybody would have loved it? Just everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I would have loved to grow up with that kind of stuff. We had stuff like Virtual Fighter, for God's sakes, on there. And it came with its own PC-ready controller. It had its own graphics card, like an actual dedicated graphics card for the Sega Saturn chip for Virtual Fighter. Like, I remember this stuff from way back in the day. Like, we had stuff like Sonic 3 and Knuckles Collection, which I still love to death. Even if you didn't have the Sega Genesis, titles, you still had that game. If you were a PC kid like me, because I was very much the PC kid back in the day. Windows XP mostly, but I could run stuff like the Sega CDs portions, and I remember playing those games a lot. I would have loved to see Knights in such a time where it was easily accessible. Nowadays, I mean, I did have a Sega Saturn before it got stolen. Thanks a lot. Their ex-roommate, I'm not gonna name. But I will say this. Knights is still one of those fantastic games that really protrudes from the library. That it's for me way more interesting than stuff like Panzer Dragoon. Yeah, I said it. I know everybody's like, "Oh, Panzer Dragoon is the killer app of the Sega Saturn." No.
Yeah, well, the thing, yeah. Also, with how much Sega has been trying to keep Knights within the lineup of all the other games, like there's Knights. If you bother to look, there's a bunch of Knights Easter eggs.
There really
in a lot of other games.
Yeah,
there really
yeah,
is,
yeah.
and it's such a fun game that they even tried to remake it in Top Hat form, and it sucked. Yeah, sorry.
No, I guess another honorable mention would have to go to Balan Wonderworld, if only because they really went whole hard into the lore aspect, and then decide to show absolutely zero of it. Like, one of the characters you're supposed to free, the reason he's there, you would suspect he's there because he is a sore loser. No, he lost his wife.
Yeah.
That's why he's there.
Yeah, why, though, this game is terrible, alright? This game is absolute bonkers stupid. 80, how many freaking power-ups were there? There were like 80? Fucking Mario 3 never got that fucking far. Pardon my French.
And a lot of them are repeats, too.
Yeah, a lot of them are just repeats. It's like egg. Oh, but you can have chicken. And it does the exact same thing, except egg doesn't break. Why?
Well, also, another thing, a lot of the power-ups keep you from jumping.
Yeah, that is the one thing. Okay, all right. You know what? To those of you taking a gaming course in a college or something, okay? If they don't show Balan Wonderworld as the game that you should never make, sue. Sue it. Or leave. Just leave. Take your time, take your money, and leave. Because you know what? That is the worst game I've ever seen in my goddamn life, and I've sat on this planet for 32 years, going on 33! I'm gonna be 33 in February, and in all of my life, I have never once seen a game so horrible! And I've played ones like Action 52. I've played stuff like Bubsy 3D, okay? Those games have never made me genuinely upset, like Balan Wonderworld did. Because you know what? I like the Cirque du Soleil thing. You know what? I don't see that.
Yeah, I love the Cirque du Soleil thing too. And admittedly, look, this is me going into the lore part of it again. If they already shot themselves in the foot with the first advertisement, because in the lore, you're not supposed to see Balan as the good guy. You're supposed to see Balan as someone sinister, and of course he already looks pretty sinister.
Doesn't he in one of the cutscenes actually drink the kids? I think in that time where I literally get traumatized in the first 5 seconds of a cutscene, I think I know who the bad guy is.
oh, you mean capture the kids? Like he flies around them, gives them a seat.
Oh no! He literally shrinks them down into a cup and drinks it.
Oh yes.
Like, what the fuck?
He shrinks him down into his glass of wine, and then he downs it like a shot of whiskey.
Oh my god! Oh, I've seen, honey, I've shrunk the kids. Freaking, don't eat me! Don't eat me! Like,
Don't eat me!
Oh, okay.
The thing is, like, in the lore itself, just a quick note, in the lore itself, Balin is seen as sinister, and the one that you're actually meant to sympathize with is the villain character, which is Lance.
That is dope.
Lance is supposed to, anyone that has played the game to the very end saw what Lance used to look like. That's the Lance you're supposed to see first.
Didn't your sister actually, like...
Yeah, she's a massive fan of Balan Wonderworld.
Hi, I know I'm your number one villain, but
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, this is all explained in their little novelette, which, for some reason, they decided to not incorporate into the story at all.
Isn't it the fact that we have, like, all this storage and stuff, just, why are we still putting stuff inside of the manuals? Not even the manuals! I want manuals back! What am I talking about? It's a literal thing that you had to buy!
Yeah.
You had to buy it separate! Why would you do that?
Because they needed the storage to put in all the sports minigames.
Oh my god. Oh, and you know what? Before I get done with this thought, fuck the Tim Tims.
Aww.
Fuck the... No, for real.
They're just called Tims.
Tims, Timmy Tim, Remy Tim, whatever. Fuck those. You are not a replacement for Chow. Alright? You are not even close to what Chows were. Alright? And
let's be fair, even in the novels, they were kind of just there.
They were just there. And you know what? So were Chow. But you know what? Chow were charming. Hashtag Chows are charming.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think we'll end at that before we go overboard. Thank you very much,
off to
Kiki.
funny. Let's talk about your thing.
So, I think we will move on to Seriously Funny's second spot on his list. So what do you have on your second spot on the list, Funny?
Okay.
As number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so working my way up from number 5 to number 4. My number 4 spot would have to go to Donkey Kong, the original Donkey Kong from the arcade. Mainly because, what it did for the industry, essentially in basically pioneering the platformer, introducing us to two of the most iconic video game characters of all time, Mario and Donkey Kong, and basically putting Nintendo and Shigeru Miyamoto on the map.
Hey, Funny, how does it make you feel that Mario will forever be a Donkey Kong character?
It's the truth!
I'm not going to acknowledge that statement. I'm not going to acknowledge that because funny enough, in the Saturday Supercade cartoon, even Mario was like, "I'm sick of being that that giant monkey." It's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, just give it a few years, buddy. Just give it a few years.
Oh, jeez, and grow. Hey, Donkey Kong is still Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong is awesome. So you know what? Solid choice.
Yes, yes, and of course I can't also talk about this game without not also talking about the community that has surrounded it when it comes to like achieving the global high score. Essentially, that it is insane what people have been able to do there, as well as all sorts of mods that they've also made for this game as well. If you've actually gone to YouTube and actually looked at Donkey Kong arcade mods, it is insane what people have been able to do with that original coding.
Oh yeah, heck, even if you don't go into the modding community, some of the games that were popping up at that time were wild. Like I remember Crazy Kong. There was a few other ones that were like that were being pushed out at the time. Pardon me. On the old DOS games, there was like a quote-unquote championship edition being brought out that apparently people were saying was like better than the original for some reason. Like back in the day, it was so weird to me because it was one guy in his office, just in his basement office thing, pumping out these games like no tomorrow, just for DOS. And Donkey Kong just so happened to have been one of them. I could not imagine saying that the DOS version would be better than the arcade port. I mean, come on. It's Donkey Kong, the arcade. I don't even remember if it even had the Pie Factory level. Like every other game, yeah, that's right. I'm still stuck on the Pie Factory thing from years ago.
Yeah.
Why is the Pie Factory so taboo? Why is the Pie Factory so taboo? What did it do to you?
I honestly have no idea. And another great thing about another reason why I'm so fascinated about this game is that I don't know about you guys, but I've always been incredibly fascinated by a little pocket of Mario's history between 1981 and 1984 before he became what he is today, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if
Always
you look
fun
at...
seeing where it was.
Yeah, if you look at, like, all the character designs and, like, all the different ways they interpreted the character, it is incredibly fascinating to see where they were trying to make with this guy back in the day before he became what he is, like, in 1985 with Super Mario Brothers. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Well, considering that his original design was supposed to be Popeye, not to me. I honestly like I love the design for the original Jumpman.
Yeah.
Just that whole twirly mustache, closed eyes. He's literally Popeye. Just for some reason, the way he does it though.
It's Popeye, but French.
Yeah. but he's not even
Italian.
What I was gonna say, he's like Italian though. He's more Italian.
Oh my god!
It was a great design. I wish they would do more with Mario, with that kind of stuff. Like go off model, even just like go back to those times where like there were flaws in these kind of character designs. I honestly find the flaws of these things to be more interesting than like how they look now. Mario to me is. I know he's the definitive Mr. Video Game. I know when you look at the red hat and stuff, you see Mario. The way he looks, his pudgy attire, his happy-go-lucky attitude, stuff. That's cool. But you know what? I missed when he was just a disgruntled guy that was just trying to work on the pipes.
Yeah, a character is only interesting in his flaws.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because do you guys by chance remember the Donkey Kong cereal commercials from back in the day?
Heck yeah, boy! Fucking,
Yeah.
I fucking dream that shit.
Yes, they actually very much feature that design of Mario that you're talking about in those commercials, and lucky enough, I was actually able to get myself one of the animation cells from one of those commercials.
Oh,
yeah,
my
that's
God,
right.
yes!
You even showed us you even showed that one to us a little while ago, if I remember right.
Yep,
That
yep.
is some fantastic. I'm not jealous. I'm
mean-
not jealous.
I'm not gonna lie. I am very proud that I own the very first piece of media which Mario was traditionally animated for anything. So
You should.
Yeah.
You absolutely should. You made me want to go get a animation cells of my own. You got Mario. My uncle has, I believe he has like a cell of one of the star, or not even a cell. Oh no, wait, he does. He actually does have a cell of I know I'm probably the only Star Wars fan in here, but
no, I am.
Oh, well, you remember the cartoon where they had the Ewoks,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
the
yeah.
Ewok Adventures.
Oh.
He has one of the I think it was Wicket. I think Wicket was in there, but yeah, he has one of the cells. I've always wanted to have something like that for like one of the older cartoons. I kind of want to get one for the Simpsons, honestly.
I think my mom has a cell from Darkwing Duck.
I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous of all of you with your animation cells.
Hey, I don't have
Right, well-
any!
Alright, well, before I wrap up my thoughts on Donkey Kong, I will say, it is probably the only arcade game I can think of that I would actually love to go on my way to physically own. Like, if I ever, like, won the lottery, my first purchase would be get a Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. No joke.
Buddy, you
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
both. You and I freaking both. Yeah, I know I said that I wanted to have, like, a Golden Axe arcade, but, no.
You also said
Donkey
you wanted
Kong.
a Simpsons arcade, but Donkey Kong is your baby.
Donkey Kong is my baby. That is something that me and Funny share. We grew up with the original Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. And it is some of the best times for me. Like, even though it was so small, you could play that thing for freaking hours, and you still wouldn't get bored. It is
Absolutely.
It is so good. I love Donkey Kong. Fork.
So do I.
Even the
I love
classic,
it.
even the modern, but classic, c'est magnifique.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well,
And-
speaking of things that you share with Funny, you and Funny also share the same third spot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, so yeah, why don't
we?
we...
Yeah,
So
well,
why don't we talk about that third spot, shall we,
how
Richo?
about this? We can have Darren take the next spot, Kiki takes the next spot, and then you and I could share the number 3 spot. How's that sound?
Yeah, that
Heck yeah, let's
that
go.
sounds good to me. So my third spot here is Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, released for the PC. Yes, I know, a lot of PC games in here, I know.
So?
But this game was developed by Frontier and published by Atari. And I love Frontier because they made games like well, the first 2 Roller Coaster Tycoon games. I don't think they made those ones. I think they were made by indie developers at the time. I might be wrong about that, but Frontier also made Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2, as well as Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, but I always come back to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 because of its simplicity, and, like, it had, like, PS1 graphics, it had, like, very PS1 graphics, but what I love about it was because you could do literally whatever the hell you wanted. If you wanted to send a roller coaster at high speeds towards guests, you could do that, and they'd go flying off like fireworks. It was fantastic.
Get Mr. Bones' Wild Ride 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Dino.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of my favourite things to do was just to make it loop around and aim at the ground and just make a nuclear explosion that would destroy the frame rate.
You have the same kind of energy as me playing The Sims 2. Just let's see how many ways I can kill my Sims.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I
Lovely
also...
little ants. Now where's the magnifying glass?
returning back to that game as an adult, it was like returning back to that game. I replayed the campaign mode, and it's still fun, even with the campaign mode. Despite the fact that you could literally just cheat the system by naming characters certain ways to just get more money, but
Right.
you could literally do whatever the hell you wanted in the sandbox mode, and the music, especially in the menu, you get the best sort of music like ever. You get like Summer Air is my favorite track in the entire game because of how nostalgic it feels to me, and with the huge variety of flat rides to choose and a lot of roller coaster types to choose from, it all just sets up for an ultimate sandbox experience for me. And there was no game like that. I remember coming home from school when I was in like 5th grade. I would run to the computer, turn it on, play some Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I would not care. I would play that game till I went to bed. I'm not joking.
As somebody who knew a buddy who actually grew up with Roller Coaster Tycoon, oh, pardon me.
No, I don't think that happened, mate.
Oh, pardon me.
He's eating chips.
I was eating chips and it kind of came out the wrong way. Anyway, no. As somebody who actually grew up with, I grew up with a lot of games. I did and I didn't. But anyway, no, I played the originals and stuff. I get where you're coming from. Like, there's something therapeutic about building a theme park and then just running them into the ground.
Yeah, kill them all. Kill them all in the most awful way possible.
That's fine, they're virtual.
Yeah, they're virtual. It's not like that matters. And then the Robot Uprising came in and they judged me and said, "You killed how many Sims?"
That's
basically,
why AI is better.
Basically, it was People Playground before People Playground.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's all I've really got to say about that. So why don't we move on to Kiki for her next entry?
Okie-doke. Let me just find my list again. There it is. Well, you mentioned music. My the one that I have on my number 3 on my list is Guitar Hero, with an honorable mention to DDR because I love rhythm games. I absolutely love rhythm games. And Guitar Hero was just... I love the interface. I love the cartoony characters you get to choose. I love the songs that they have. It's really... it really expanded my library of knowing what's the songs that are out there and what I would actually enjoy. And unlike a bunch of because there's another game called Karaoke Revolution, where it is exactly that. You just need to sing it. And it doesn't judge you on how well you enunciate the words. It just judges you on how you get the pitch. You don't need to do that for Guitar Hero.
No.
You don't. You just need to play the game and you're done. I know Rock Band is out there and it's okay, but I prefer Guitar Hero's interface. The buttons are a lot easier to look at. And the characters are just... They have a lot more charm to them, even when they weren't doing a story type thing. The only story in Guitar Hero I really enjoyed was, I think it was before they officially dropped it and became Guitar Hero Live.
Oh, jeez.
But I forgot the name of it. Guitar Hero Legends?
Maybe.
No, not...
Maybe, I don't know.
Legends of Rock is the third title for it. But it was when, there's this big apocalyptic uprising, and all your favorite characters are representative of a specific metal type thing. Like, Judy Nails was a really worked up a crowd, so she became just this vixen. Or Johnny Napalm. Johnny Napalm is a lot more memorable, I think, because Johnny Napalm, the guy with the mohawk, he was known for his chaotic energy, so he became this teleporting gremlin that climbed on ceilings while he was riffing on the guitar.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, there's that. And Lars Umlaut was known for his power and presence on the stage, so he became this giant pig.
Oh yes, because when I think of power, I think of pigs.
Well, it was like a sort of rich power, and whenever, like, any sort of opulence that you get back in the day, it was like a big giant pig roast. So he was the roast he was probably eating. So yeah, you just got that sort of charm that Rock Band just didn't have, even with its customizing.
Yeah.
You just prove positive that you don't need to customize to that nth degree in order to have that sort of charm in the games. And the first game I've actually reviewed, period, was a Guitar Hero game. It's just for the DS.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's
that
right.
piece of crap.
Honestly,
I enjoyed it.
I was gonna say I can appreciate. Actually, that's actually kind of funny that you bring this up, Han, because well, I just learned that the thrift store right next door to us actually has that very game and the peripheral that it came with.
Oh, sweet.
I kind of want to get it just because your review made me want to get it.
Well, there's 3 of them now. There's On Tour 80s and Modern Classic, I think.
I have no idea. I couldn't remember, but I just know that it's from the DS, and I kind of want it.
Yeah, it's the peripheral. I enjoyed it, and it'll still whip your butt up something fierce because despite lacking a button.
Fair enough. But
Okay,
right,
thank you
so
very much.
it sounds
So
like we're okay
let's
with
move
that.
on to
Okay,
the
so
next.
now fight.
Nah, not really.
Fight?
But,
What's there to fight about? He and I share the same top 3 spot.
Yeah, I know.
Right there at the top 3.
So yeah, let's talk about that top 3 spot, shall we?
Oh boy, do we want to say it together though?
Alright.
If you want.
Heck yeah! 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
Earthworm Jim.
Yeah! Woo!
There you go.
Oh my god! Alright, so I gotta hear it from you first. What do you like about Earthworm Jim? Let's hear your side of the story, remember?
Oh god, where to fucking start with this? Golly. Well, first of all, you can't talk about Earthworm Jim without talking about the animation. The animation in this game is pristine. I know a lot of other games back then did their best with what they could when it came to like hand-drawn graphics and trying to make it look as good as it could on the consoles or even on PC for that matter. But Earthworm Jim, I feel, is the best that was out there at the time. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, say what you will about Tanaple. He knows his animation.
He does.
Yeah, it's
So
not
does.
just it's not just an Apple. It was also Mike Dietz and Ed Schofield who also worked on that game. That made that game shine as pristinely as it did.
Oh, yes, I did.
And it's not just the animation; it's also the backgrounds. My God, I don't know how the heck they did it, but the way they rendered those backgrounds, it's very much like the best they could do to encapsulate what a 2.5D game looks nowadays. Back then,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's like people always say other I'm sure you guys remember back when they came out with DuckTales remastered not too long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Other people are asking, okay, what other games could we possibly give this treatment to? My first thought was Earthworm Jim because it would look pristine with that kind of look of having the hand-drawn 2D characters with a 3D backgrounds and stuff. That would look so
and
good.
Panoramic view as well.
Oh, yeah. Some of the backdrops in this game are absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! The effect on the Genesis or even the Sega CD, the down the tubes level, just the way that they incorporate the waving water effects, and the backdrops behind that, frick, even the second level, what the heck? Just the way that the level itself, it's so weird to me. Like I can't interpret what the floor is. It kind of looks like cheese, but
Yeah.
it kind of looks like Swiss cheese. But it's so like you can tell that each and every detail on those are unique to their own. It's not just a recopy of a sprite. It's all original stuff.
And there's nothing like it even now.
There really isn't, and I'm so sad because everybody sleeps on Earthworm Jim. And there's so much to love about the guy. What do I say about Earthworm Jim that hasn't been said before? This is about to be another Pizza Tower thing, but this is with the OG right here. Frickin' the characters themselves are so they're so out of left field. I mean, who would have thought that you'd be going to hell, like the planet of hell, like in Doom almost, like imagine going to Mars and then you're fighting off ghostly demons and stuff, and you're about to be ready to go reach up Satan and its cat.
Yeah, it's just a cat.
And it's just a cat. And what about the time where you're inside of a freaking monster? Okay, this is genuine horror stuff for me right here. Okay, inside the intestines of an unknown monster you don't even know that's planet-sized, and all of a sudden you're fighting the Ductuandum.
Yep.
You're fighting the Duandum. and not even that, but then you're going inside of another planet, like some Buttville or something like that. For all we know,
to fight the queen.
To fight the queen that's larger than the fucking 2 screens of a level she has. That's impressive, and it looked so good. Why doesn't Jim get ported more? Why doesn't Jim get ported more?
And finally, you win the day, and the princess gets squashed by a cow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's this wacky, stupid game of
the cow you launched at the very beginning of the game.
It's yeah, exactly. It's literally you are the reason why the princess is quote unquote dead, even though she comes back in the sequel. But we're not going to talk about that. I hate that sequel. I hate that sequel so much.
Yeah,
I don't understand why people love it. Did they not play the Flying King?
Understandable. That being said, as much as I do love this game, there's at least 1 or 2 concepts from it I could have seen being fleshed out even more. Like, for example, in level 5, there's a bit where you don't have to go into this, but there's an entirely optional section of level called Who Turned Out the Lights, where essentially the entire level is all black, and all you can see is Earthworm Jim's eyes blinking, and occasionally you get a spotlight or two, as well as you'll see the eyes of the villains. And I'm thinking, guys, this is a brilliant idea for an entire level on its own. Why didn't you take this and run with it? But, like, no, it's just, like, one little thing that only takes, like, 4 or 5 screens or something like that? And it's like...
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is, like, before, like 20 years before, like, Donkey Kong Returns did this sort of concept with its own, like...
with its silhouette stage, yeah!
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's... it just kind of frustrates me, like, if they ever made, like, another Earthworm Jim game, once, hope to God they ever do. That's one of the concepts that they should absolutely bring back and, like, flesh out even more, because it's such a good idea.
It's such a good idea, and it's so scary to me, too. Here's the thing. I swear to God, Earthworm Jim could be its own horror game with some of the concepts that they have in here. Easily.
Yep.
And
but we already came up with that
AU. I could go for that.
Oh, dude, we have a friend who's already kind of into that. Or our friend Simfolk has kind of already made, like, a horror AU of Earthworm Jim that, whew, golly.
Yeah,
we'll
Red
talk
Room
about that when we
Jim,
get to
if I
that.
remember correctly.
Yes.
And it's just Jim, but actually evil and
man, psychotic.
Yeah, genuinely psychotic. Like
Silent Hill's level of really messed up.
Silent Hill, The Shining, something alongside that, and they just ran with it, and I'm so happy for it.
Right. But earlier you were talking about the whole debate about whether or not the Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo version of the game is better.
Oh yeah.
This is sort of a joke I kind of have proposed whenever we do the ports. When we talk about the ports of all the various ports of the game.
Oh boy.
Essentially, the way I see it is that comparing the Sega Genesis version and Super Nintendo versions of the game is like comparing different versions of peanut butter. Like Like Super Nintendo's creamy and Sega Genesis is chunky. I mean, sure, the other one is like smooth and creamy and goes down a little easier debatably, but the other one has like much more crunch and substance to it. Yeah.
You need that crunch, that extra kind of content that just... It may not seem much like much to you, but my God, does it make a difference?
Yeah, so like there's a solid argument for both sides, and honestly, if you like the Super Nintendo version, all of our parts, yeah, I think I should say both me and Retro prefer not even the Sega Genesis version, but the Sega CD version, basically. Yeah.
Both the CD and the Windows 95 port, because that is aside from the Super Nintendo one, I did actually have, and I still have my original copy of Windows 95's version of Earthworm Jim with the Red Book audio and everything, and it was absolutely glorious. I prefer that and the CD version over the SNES and the Genesis one any day, because of the amount of content they didn't even need to put in there, aside from the Red Book audio. But the CD and the Windows 95 version have so many... It has just a few quality of life changes. They add a couple of... They also add an extra bonus level, which is actually really nice to have.
Yeah.
And it's just... It feels tighter. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but I went back to those versions, and... The CD version just feels tighter than the Genesis version. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I think it's just the way that they handled the D-pad on the controller.
well, that and also they give you the option to, like, skip 2, Bryce, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, for real. That I needed. I needed that in my life. But man, what a fantastic game. I love Earthworm Jim, and honestly... I'm going to say this right now. If it wasn't for you guys, I never would have thought that I'd ever hear anything again about Earthworm Jim. And I'm so glad that I have people like you, Funny, and Gene, and everybody else in the channel that gushes over Earthworm Jim. Because honestly, for the longest time, I myself thought that I was like one of the very few Earthworm Jim fans. Because I didn't have very many friends growing up. I'm going to be that guy. I never had any friends. I was always the kid that never really stuck with anybody. Minus like one guy, but that was a whole can of worms. Can of worms.
Yes.
But I grew up with the cartoon. I grew up with one of the toys. I even remember seeing one of the comics in my local comic book store, and
cool.
I feel so bad that I never picked it up until much later. As a scan, anyway. I want to go and collect these things now. But the truth of the matter is, I grew up with the SNES version, I grew up with the Windows 95 version, and then eventually I would discover the CD version, which... c'est magnifique. But...
Yeah.
Just having friends like you guys is really got me into Earthworm Jim as a whole, and I'm so glad that I did. He's honestly one of the most memorable characters in video games, and just from the craziness of it all. I mean, what other game can you say literally has an earthworm superhero? You can't. There's literally nothing else out there like it. That's, for me, the most original character concept fucking ever.
Yeah,
ever.
There's a solid reason why he's my favorite superhero of all time. No joke.
Heck yeah. His humor has really, honestly, just the character itself has really influenced even our characters. Funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, it's funny you mention that, because that's also another solid reason why Earthworm Jim is my number 3 spot in my list. Not just because I have, like, a vast collection of stuff I've collected over the years. You guys have seen it.
Oh, yeah.
not just, like, of games and the action figure, the more recent graphic novels that Snapple put out, and also an original drawing or two of his.
Right.
But also the fact that if it wasn't for my being involved with the Gym Cord a few years ago, I may not have ever met you guys, and ultimately, it really felt like it kind of more or less changed the course of my life, which I really needed at the time, because I'm in a sense, I'm still kind of climbing my way out of a decade's worth of depression. So,
hey, at least you have us holding your hand as we get you out of there, bud.
Yeah,
for real.
Again, that's why why Earthworm Jim holds such a special place in my heart, because if it wasn't for if it wasn't for that character and that franchise and those series of games, I may not have ever met you guys, and I may not have basically gotten out of this, as dark of a pit as I am right now. So
Honestly,
you are the voice of Jim, so we commend you for that as well.
Yeah,
Aw,
you are classic Earthworm Jim. Apparently, people have told me that I'm modern Earthworm Jim, but you are the classic, and I've always, I mean, I literally have retro in the name.
Yeah,
Your Jim is better than mine.
No,
Much better than
no.
mine. No, don't you dare. But I will say this, though. There is something we can agree on. If it wasn't for the Jim cord, if it wasn't for just finding I think if it wasn't for finding that server and the people that were in it, and just, I wouldn't have met you, I wouldn't have met Gene. Gene wouldn't have, honestly, Gene wouldn't have got me to actually want to talk to you. If it wasn't for Gene, I wouldn't have actually gone out and tried to talk to you. Because I was actually, it was like looking up to a hero that you didn't even know yet.
Oh, shucks.
Absolutely, dude. Like, we respect the hell out of you. And, like I said, I wouldn't have gotten this far if it wasn't for people like you and Gene. So, you know what? Thank you to the Jim Cord on Discord. And,
link in description.
Yeah, link in the description with TeddyRoo12 being the server owner. I really deeply appreciate that server and the community around it. Just thank you guys for being you. So, yeah.
Yeah. I still have those 5 hugs, by the way, whenever we meet in person.
Well, yeah, I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah, well, maybe sometime next year, buddy. Maybe.
Maybe next year? Oh, that'd be exciting. All right, Darren.
Get your new place and we'll talk about it. Anyway.
You got it. All right, the gaming source. Go on ahead, bud.
Okay, so we are gonna have to speed things up a little bit so we don't go too over the target time here. So
Fair enough.
So I'm gonna go ahead and do my 4th list, which is Burnout Revenge for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Now, if you want the best racing game ever made, Burnout Revenge is that game. I know it's made by EA, but this was before they went down the shitter.
Well, that's not Diddy Kong Racing.
You shh. Nah, okay, so Burnout Revenge, developed by Criterion Games and published by EA, is basically sort of EA's answer to, well, I think EA made Need for Speed as well. Did they? I can't remember.
Maybe. I have
Or was
no
it
idea.
Activision? I can't remember.
I think it was Activision.
Yeah, basically, it's sort of similar to Need for Speed, but with way better racing mechanics. Like, it is insanely fast, and it basically rewards you by doing risky stuff. So, driving on the wrong side of the road, doing tricks in the air, taking down enemy cars. And the races are so incredibly fast that you will feel like you're actually speeding past the traffic in real time. And
see, that's the kind of game that I need to have in my life.
The takedowns especially are incredibly satisfying because of the camera angle changes, the sound that plays when you get a takedown, and just overall the boost mechanic as well just makes it sound like you're just rocketing off into the stratosphere with how fast you're moving. It does get a bit frustrating with its crash mode, but it is a very fun game for me to play, and especially one of the more satisfying, especially if you do a crash breaker race and you get that little moment of silence like a and then bam, explosion out of nowhere. You get just a brief moment to realise what's going to happen before it all connects, and it's just dopamine all over.
Also great meme opportunity for when you do like silent crash that you could just pause it there and say, "Hi, this is me. This is what happened. You're probably wondering what's going on."
Yeah, and then just massive explosion.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but
Fantastic.
The game's crash engine is surprisingly accurate as well for a game being released around the early 2000s. Because if you go crashing into a wall, that wall ain't moving, and your car is going to get crunched up more than that tin can you saw on the side of the road. And
Leave my rifle out of this!
Oh, okay, Pity, I'll shut up. But like, yes, it just gets really fun, and like it does get a bit difficult, but hey. What isn't a good learning curve when you get into a racing game, eh? It's a lot of fun to play. And yeah, that's all I have to say about Burnout Revenge.
There you go. All right. So then, who's next?
It would be. I think it would be you, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, I can tell you this. This is probably going to be a very easy one. Banjo-Kazooie. I love Banjo-Kazooie. It's... Alright, it's very much the same kind of feeling for how Seriously Funny finds Mario 64 to be this grand thing. I mean, it all started the 3D platformer. Let's just say this, okay? Mario 64 walked, but Banjo-Kazooie flew. Not even ran, it flew. For me,
Literally.
it's all the characters, all the music, all the backdrops, everything about this game is fucking near flawless for me. And I can't even say, like, the game is... Like, I take a lot of speed in my kind of games, and no, not that kind of speed.
Nah. Not that shit.
When are you
no.
sick of it? But I love speed in my video games. That's why stuff like Sonic the Hedgehog and even the earlier Donkey Kong countries, that when you get that combo going, you got that combo going. It's just
that sounds great.
It's not even that. Like the game can be slow at times, but honestly, it's one of those breath of fresh air kind of games where it's like you've seen these kind of backdrops before, you've seen this kind of story before, but the way that they wrote it, like even the dry British humor is phenomenal compared to most other games. I can quote Banjo-Kazooie over and over if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that. But it's just one of those.
I was just gonna make that joke.
Whoa! Oh, Banjo! Oh! Yeah.
No, that's Diddy Kong Racing, technically.
Diddy Kong Racing, yeah, Diddy Kong Racing. But it's just one of those games, though. It's one of those kind of games that I can 100% over and over and over again, and it feels great to do each and every time. It's just everything about the game, like I said, it's just even if you play like the original version or the Xbox Live Arcade, which I actually find the Xbox Live Arcade one to be a lot better than the N64 version for one reason: the fact that it saves your score in the level, so you don't have to collect the things again.
That's fair.
Absolutely.
That is the only reason. Aside from that, either one is a good choice. But for me, it's just the Xbox Live Arcade one just barely pushes forward. But it's a great game all around, and the character itself is so loved. It got into Smash. They got into Smash Bros. That was the thing that I wanted since the Smash 64 days.
Tell me
And
about
I
it.
always said to myself, why can't Banjo be in this game? And ever since that one fateful day where they were bought out by the Microsoft Corporation, Banjo was never the same, but at the same time, in the fans' hearts, like myself, Banjo was more prevalent than ever. And it was all because of one single phrase: I'll see you in Banjo 3E. And I'm still waiting for the day a proper sequel instead of Nuts and Bolts! Ours!
We'll get to Nuts and Bolts one day, dude. We'll get to it.
I don't wanna!
That deserves a review. That
Just
deserves
for
a
context,
review.
host, we already have played through Banjo, Nuts and Bolts, and
I have at least beaten Banjo Nuts and Bolts to where I could beat the story. I'm not 100%ing that game.
No, fuck that. It was like this. You thought it was boring to play? We thought it was even worse to watch, I'll be frank.
I found people that defend the game mechanics so well that it's like, okay, but like you can enjoy the custom car mechanics. The car does not function properly when I'm trying to get the thing. And I made the most. Ooh, pardon me. Sorry.
Rage burp.
Yeah, rage ulcers. My ulcers are acting up just from the stress of Banjo fucking Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Freaking kick your nuts and bolts in. Anyway.
That sounds painful.
Just as painful as the game? No.
Fair.
But I'll say this before I stop talking about Banjo-Kazooie, because I can gush over each and every one of these games for hours. Yo.
Yeah, but we're running
We're
out
of time.
We're already got a lot of time.
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are fantastic games. Just if you get the chance, play them however you can. If you haven't already, hell, I'll even say go ahead and get Banjo-Kazooie through the The Switch Online, the worst thing ever made. But whatever.
Jesus.
Whatever. Go ahead and have it. It's whatever. Anyway, shutting up now. Whee!
Hey, okay. Alright then, thank you. So, next up is Kiki. What's your next one, Kiki?
My next one, I forgot to put the honorable mention in, but the next one is Bomberman Fantasy Race with the honorable mention of Crash Team Racing.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, Bomberman Fantasy Race in particular. It was one where I really bonded with my little sister, and just because of how silly the game itself was. We didn't know. It was our very first Bomberman game, so we didn't actually know what the mechanics were. We didn't even know what the characters' names were. We just thought, White Bomber, oh, that's a little generic. This game is kind of unfinished. We'll name these characters. This one's Ash, this one's Patty, this one's Alio, this one's Dr. Evil. I can't remember if we named the Louis and Terras or not, but yeah, you're Bomberman, you're the Bomberman, and you're riding around on your animal friends and doing all that sort of stuff as the sort of kart racer, but instead of karts, you're playing as animals. And one of the power downs, like you hit the power up things, you hit the question mark things. Occasionally, the question marks will give you like a hindrance, like somewhat like the reverse controls, or you're immediately slowed down. Like the dashing mechanic is literally the animal just dashing, and you need to preserve that energy for as much as you can. Otherwise, your animal will be very, very tired and be particularly slow. One of the power downs is the animal stopping in the middle of the race to have a poop.
Oh no!
Yeah, you literally one of the time. Yeah, it's the few times where you just immediately, like as soon as the thing is finished its little decision making, as soon as the poop comes up. Like, every time you get a bad power-up, it has this very ominous, just that sort of ominous sound to it. And that's for all of the power downs, like for reversing controls, for unlit bombs, because you can throw bombs at random, sometimes jump over them so that you could get a little speed boost, but mostly just to throw at other players just so that you could slow them down. But you have unlit bombs, you have reversing the controls. As soon as the bad sound comes up, and your animal immediately stops, dead in his tracks, just stops for a moment, boop, and it just poops, and then after that, your animal needs to calm down from its gigantic, massive poop with a little bubble going on. Ah.
Hooray for poo! Hooray for poo!
Dude, I want that sound effect every time I go to the toilet from now on.
I don't think they did the sigh thing, but it's kind of implied with how big that bubble comes out from the side of its head.
Jeez, I'm grow.
But yeah, your animal is meant to jump over large gaps. Your animal can dash, but only for a short amount of time. Your animal's just charming, really. It's a charming take on a kart racer, which is really just an animal racer.
Well, considering I love animal buddies, I love riding animals. Like
this is right up your alley.
This is right up my alley. I need to play this game like fucking yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Ooh.
Yeah. No, you're good.
That's all.
Okay, thank you, Kiki. Alright, so, Funny, your next one on your list, please.
Okay, so working way up to number 2 on my list would be Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles.
Yeah!
Yes!
Yes, I can already feel like you guys are excited to talk about this one. Now, oh golly, where to start with? Well, first off, I could say that, I think this is probably the best Sonic has ever looked. Not just in terms of like how his sprite looks, because honestly, this feels like how he looks in this game is like an amalgamation of like how he looked in not just in the games but also in the Western cartoons at the time. But also, I have to say the backgrounds and the colors of this game are beautiful. I have never seen anything like this like on the Sega Genesis before or after. Although God knows some folks have tried, but I don't think they could ever top Sonic 3 for how good it looks. And also, the level design of this game is incredibly impressive. Like even to this day, like I've been seeing people like playing through this game on YouTube, and like they'll come across something like, "Oh my God, I've been playing this game for over 20 years. I've never seen this before." It's like even to this day, people are discovering new stuff about this, and that's crazy to think about. And of course, you can't forget about the fact that this game introduces to arguably the best rival Sonic has ever had, and that being, of course, Knuckles the Echidna, who essentially, for those of you who don't know, is basically his gimmick is like he's basically is as strong as Sonic is as fast.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
The original enemy to lover.
Exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, and again, when like a lot with like a lot of the games I've already listed off, the mods that they've done for this game as well as the various different ports fans have made of this, including things like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Complete, Sonic Air,
I was just gonna say Sonic Air.
It's just the amount of love and dedication that they have for this one game in particular is incredible, honestly, and all for good reason, honestly. And of course, we also can't talk about this game without also talking about the music that, of course, was partially composed by the one and only Michael Jackson.
Heck yes!
Hell yeah, dude.
Yep, and there's a reason why people kind of like to poke fun at it whenever like more modern official ports of the game come out, like with Sonic Origins. They have to replace certain tracks in there, and it was like, it's just not the same. Like I know the tracks they replace it with are from the Sonic and Knuckles PC collection. I know you love so much, Retro, but honestly,
yes, I do.
Honestly, I'm sorry, but those tracks just do not compare to the originals.
Oh, I'm with you there. The originals are far better than the one that I grew up with. Let's be honest here. As much as I love the game, as much as I love the compilation, as much as I love the music that they put in there, it's nowhere near as good as that Genesis fucking. Oh, it's so good. Oh, baby, I could listen to that all day. Especially Big Arms.
Yeah. Not just Big Arms, but we can't forget about Ice Cap Zone with like. Have you ever seen that one YouTube mashup where people have combined that with Hard Times, like the actual track that's
that song
spawned off of? Like, oh my God, it's so good.
It is absolutely beautiful. My favorite ice level anything in a video game.
Absolutely.
Period. Oh, good shit.
I think if we want to talk about the music, one of the best presentations of a final boss in any video game would be in Sonic 3 and Knuckles with the Doomsday Zone, and how it just feels like, oh shit, we gotta get the Master Emerald back right fucking now. We gotta hurry the fuck up, Sonic. We gotta go.
It was a great ending.
Yes, it was.
Go on, funny.
Not even that, but just like fighting against. Not even really consider what you would call this, like Death Egg Robot 2. Like
I think it's just
like the boss you have to fight like right before that, where it was like this big gargantuan beast of a machine, and you just see like the front and side of it is just so big that like after you defeat it, like Robotnik tries to like make a mad dash off to the right with the emerald, and you have to try and stop as best you can while the ground right behind you is like giving away. He's like, oh, that shit was anxiety inducing. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna start going, but
it's even more anxiety inducing when you realise you can clip through the floor and end up dying anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, for games like that, I mean, you can't really. I mean, it's hard to see stuff like that coming, I'm sure. Yeah. But no, Sonic 3 is, and I know I didn't put this as any of my top 5. Fuck, it'd probably be just close to around like the 10th. It still is the best for me anyway. One of the best experiences you can ever get on a Genesis. Yeah. I know a lot of people like to argue and talk about Sonic 2 or anything like that, but for me, it's just Sonic 3 is so much more than that. From the looks, from the graphics looks to the gameplay to the music itself, just to the story. I mean, this game got pushed so hard. There are a lot of different games out there that even partake in this kind of. Like, they get inspired by this sort of thing. Like, frick. One of the games that admittedly, I used to have even the music and some of the more off-brand things. Sonic Schoolhouse.
No!
Even stuff like that is influenced by Sonic 3, even with the music. It is that worthy of a title. It is that worthy of a name. Sonic 3, to me, is far better than Sonic 2, just for the presentation alone. It looks, feels, it's just overall great. I love... Sorry, go on.
I mean, I understand the argument for why people think Sonic 2 is better, but honestly, I'm kind of with you when it comes to Sonic 3, mainly because, I feel like Sonic 3 tells a much more cohesive story, mainly because, like, with Sonic 2, it just starts off like the typical way a Sonic level would start off back in the days. It's like, oh, he just ends the level, like, breaks open the prison, and that's it. Just cuts to black, then it cuts back to the other level. No, in this game, you actually got, like, level transitions, where it actually flows seamlessly and such. And, you know, and funny enough, people more recently have kind of tried to make an argument that Sonic Mania is better, and God knows, I love Sonic Mania for what it tried to do. But the thing is that I think what makes Sonic 3 even better for me is the fact that it didn't have to rely so much on previous, like, level designs and concepts and such like that, which, you know, I know Sonic Mania tried to incorporate more original ideas with, like, you know, the original levels and, like, the second acts of, like, all the various stages that they remade, but honestly, I just feel like Sonic 3 just kind of hits it even harder for me, even all these years later. Not to mention, oh gosh, what was I gonna bring up?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my thought must have escaped me. I apologize.
That's alright, we do need to move on.
Yeah, we need
we'll be going on for 2 hours.
Fair enough.
So, yes, I think we're going to try and aim for maybe almost... We're not going to get to 2 hours. I'm not going to get to 2 hours, no way. So, I will go ahead and do my next one, and I'll go ahead and do that relatively quickly to save some time. My last game on my list is The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, released on so many fucking consoles you think it was bloody Doom. But, I think I'll just stick with the PC version, which is where it came out first. The Binding of Isaac was made by the same person who made Super Meat Boy, Edmund McMillan. And he, this is his magnum opus. I love The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. And it's basically a remake of a Flash game that he had made as well. So this isn't his first depth into roguelikes and stuff. And this is what got me into the roguelike genre. Apart from Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon on the 3DS. But, yeah, The Binding of Isaac really features you playing as a small boy named Isaac. And he goes around into these different floors fighting demented monsters that kind of look like him for some reason. And he takes items that, like, transform him into these ugly... like mutations, and like it gets more and more perverse the more you progress. Like you end up going to the depths, you end up going inside a womb at one point, and you end up going to hell to fight Satan himself, or even going to like a fire to kill the beast. It's an incredible experience, but it's not without its problems, and it is incredibly frustrating to play, and the unlocks are certainly not worth it. Like, you have to work to unlock the ability to get a nickel that could just be stuck to the floor and not let you get it. Like, what the fuck, Edmund? What the fuck was that? But he does have a sense of humour, and I think that's where the game really shines as well, because it does have a big sense of humour and how silly it is. And even with the PC version with mods, it gets even sillier. But yeah, the game is incredibly fun to play, with plenty of challenges, and a recently released DLC a couple years ago, which in many ways make the game even better than it was. I don't want to go too much into it because we are running out of time, but yeah, The Binding of Isaac Rebirth is the best roguelike you could ever play, and I would suggest giving it a shot if you can, on any way you can, because it's available on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and even on the Switch, which is what I use often. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Sweet.
Okay, so what about you, Rich? What about you, Retro? What's your final one?
Well, my final one, you know what, I'm just gonna fire these off because I have quite a few honorable mentions, and I haven't really said anything about them, but, the honorable mentions I have listed are The Neverhood, fantastic point and click. I said it was a great claymation thing. Dragon Quest Monsters Joker. It may not be my number 5, but it is very close to that. It is a great system, and I love the iconic monsters. I used to play Dragon Warrior all the time, so it's a great RPG. You should try it out if you're tired of Pokemon. Godzilla Monster of Monsters, one of the very first games I ever grew up with, and it was a platforming, beat-em-up kind of thing with Godzilla characters. And it, for some reason, had chess.
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
It is very odd. Golden Axe, because I love Golden Axe. It's a great hack and slash, beat 'em up kind of thing, but you get to ride animals and stuff, and, you know, it's a great time all around. It's just very short. Simpsons Arcade. It's another game that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but it's one of those games that everybody wanted to have on the Super Nintendo when Konami was pushing out these games. You know, back and forth with like stuff like Turtles in Time, which is fantastic, by the way. Great game there. Team Fortress 2. I have like 4,000, 5,000 hours of Team Fortress 2. I cannot fathom how much time I put into this game. I nearly played it for 10 years. It is a fantastic game, and I'm just getting back into it. Ark Survival Evolved. I hate Minecraft. Okay, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be right here, and I'm gonna say I hate Minecraft. I don't care about it. It is a very slow game. I have a lot of problems with it, and I know somebody's gonna be like, "Why don't you love it?" Because it's slow and really, really boring. Ark Survival Evolved, for me, fixes that by making the survival mode actually worth playing. And plus the fact that I can have rideable dinosaurs. I can go in and have Yoshi the T-Rex eat your fucking house. Okay? So, there's that. And my final one is Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Ravenloft Strahd's Possession. Alright, I know I haven't really showed it much on here, but I absolutely love dungeon crawlers to a T. I love everything about them. I love being able to try and survive in a giant-ass dungeon. Strahd's Possession pretty much does that, except you're trying to find those dungeons and survive with the team that you were given. You meet all sorts of characters in there. It's a fun time. It's a great DOS game. But my number 5 of my top 5, though, is Pokemon Crystal version. And really, it's really Pokemon Generation 2, but I'm picking Crystal because it's the definitive edition. Listen, I loved the very first generation of Pokemon, alright? I was there, just like everybody else, when it was going its rounds and Pokemon Fever was hot on its heels. The Pokemon trading card, the anime, the books, the frickin' VHS, DVDs, toys, plushes, everything you could possibly think of, I was there for, and I had it. But what really stood off that Pokemon Fever for me was Generation 2. And how could you say no to this? Alright, I know everybody says that, you know, later on games are much better, like Generation 5 and stuff. Yeah, it's cool, man. But, you know, Pokemon Crystal is just Generation 1, but genuinely better. Yeah, it has some problems, but the Pokemon themselves are way more interesting. I mean, my first ever Pokemon I ever named, like actually nicknamed, was my Feraligatr with the name Crunch, with a K. And later on I would find out that Crunch was actually a character in Diddy Kong Racing. I didn't know that. But my favorite Pokemon are all exclusively from Generation 2. You got Feraligatr, you got Ursaring, you got Miltank, you got Ampharos, you got Ariados. Freaking, even some of the legendary Pokemon. Lugia, Ho-Oh. I love Ho-Oh more, but Ho-Oh is cooler. But, like, Suicune. It was this, I can't fathom any other game having this strong of a pushback, for this generation. It was everywhere, man. It was great. And, you know, the music itself, you know, it just, again, I'm a big guy on music. Some of my favorite, one of my favorite pieces of music is literally Versus Red. Versus Red, when you go up, all the way up to Mount Silver, and you're just, that's you! That's you! You're fighting yourself from an earlier generation. That is, without a doubt, one of the coolest frickin' things I've ever seen. That, to me, is, it left an impression on me, man. I love Pokemon Crystal, I love Generation 2. I just wish that Pokemon, the company, would actually give more care for Generation 2, because there hasn't really been any pushback for Generation 2. I mean, this was the generation that literally said, hey, You know, you have this game, you have this whole content. How about you play the original game again? In the same cart. It let you replay all of Kanto. It was awesome. Freaking... It was just a genuinely wonderful time, and I will always cherish it in my heart. And the Heart Gold and Soul Silver, just taking that and just making it just a lot more shiny and smoother, that was a genuine... I loved that. I cannot wait when we get to it on the channel to talk about Generation 1 and Generation 2, because they mean the most to me. Not saying stuff like Generation 3, 4, 5, you know, those are good, but it was really Generation 1 and Generation 2 mostly that made this my love for Pokemon really, really go places. I'll never, ever forget the day I talked to my mom. Okay, I went up to her after she bought me the game. It was Gold version. We didn't get Crystal until later, but Gold version. I went up to her and I asked, I was like, hey, I have this cow. What would you name a cow? Because she was a big fan of cows. She loved cows. She had an entire kitchen back in our little hut, little trailer in Florida, all cow-themed. And she looked at me and she said, if I ever had a cow, I would just go the same way everybody else does, Bessie. And that, it stuck. I still have Bessie, her favorite Pokemon, actually, in Pokemon Home. I carried her all the way up to Pokemon Home, and she's there sitting in the box of the retirement home, still waiting for the day I get to try her again, the exact same way my mother would wanted to. But
Yeah.
stuff like that, the personal reasons and stuff like that is why Pokemon Crystal means so much to me, and it deserves to be on this top 5. And that's it. That's all I can really say about it.
Okay, that was really good. Okay, so we're going to move on to Kiki now for her final game. What do you have, Kiki?
Pokemon meets Rock, Paper, Scissors meets Creative Arts. It's a game called Magic Pen Gel Quest for Color.
Ooh.
Ah.
And here, I'm just going to post the little character that you get to control and use
Yeah.
for the. That is the pen gel that you use, and it doesn't come initially like that. The little brushes on its head, you have to earn that. You're evolving that little pen gel in order to make better creatures, and basically it is Pokemon, but you draw your Pokemon. But because of how you start, all you can really do is just very simple shapes. Like, you can have a simple shape plus like an appendage, like a spike of some sort, and you use that to fight other creatures in arenas that other people have quote-unquote drawn. Like, instead of a bag of Pokemon, like a pack of Pokeballs, you have a sketchbook that you're calling upon your doodles. The creatures you create are called doodles. You have a sketchbook in which you can call your doodles from. And it is a rock, paper, scissors format. You choose one, and if you choose the same one, the faster of the two of you go first, of course. And it's just really, really clever, and even it has a surprisingly epic story for something so stupidly simple. A very surprisingly epic story for something so stupidly simple. The story is doodles create color, humans create things. The doodles make colors for those things. Humans got greedy and enslaved doodles to make more colors. So the king of the doodles sacrificed himself, taking all the colors that he's made back out of the thing so that the doodles can be free. And that's basically it. and you basically go through the game trying to build up all your color repertoire. And what I really enjoy most about this game is that even if you lose, you get some sort of compensation. Because usually when you lose, it isn't just because of luck of the draw, because of the whole rock, paper, scissors thing. It's literally because that your doodle isn't strong enough. But the only way to make your doodle strong enough is to have more color crystal stuff. So the color crystals are what you use to color and draw your doodle in the first place. But if you can't continue drawing your character, there's no point in continuing the game. So they give you crystals to compensate for the fact that you can't win the game and add on to your character later. So you can keep at it and grind out for more crystals, and you might win, you might not win, but either way, you can still play the game. I definitely ground to the ground, as it were, trying to get all the crystals I could just to add on to the game itself. So it is just I really enjoyed it. It's also really cool how to figure out how to draw on a PlayStation 2 controller.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry, I'm gonna make this really quick, but it reminds me of a game that I actually had on the GameCube, Amazing Island. It may not be the exact same thing as what you had, Hun, but so basically this game is all about you trying to save some type of island from some magical evil, and the usual bits. But the way you do it is you draw out your monster. At first, they only give you like certain body parts and stuff like that, and you don't really get too far into the whole drawing process with a GameCube controller. Which, yeah, try doing that. That's like trying to play Mario Paint on a SNES controller. But in any case, no. When you finally unlock everything and you get to draw out the monster of your dreams, it was really great. I loved that kind of design process. I might actually have to try your game out.
Yeah. When you start, all you can do is draw a body. Mm-hmm. That is the literal first input that you put into the game before it goes into the title theme song.
Dang.
Like, after they do their whole story about how the doodles and the humans it worked out, you see your little pen gel just floating about in the trees, just this little glowing thing, and then it's a little baby with a little foxy pink tail, and then it tells you, draw a circle, and that circle turns into a ball. That ball bounces of its own accord all across the screen, playing with the pen gel. And that's how the game starts.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Definitely gonna have to try that out then.
Yeah.
One day.
Okay.
Download it and thank you later.
Alright, so...
Heck yes.
And finally, we have Seriously Funny's final game. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, I would. My number one game of all time would have to be, and technically I may be cheating a little bit here, but it is the Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt cartridge that came packaged with every single Nintendo that came out back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what more can we really even say about Super Mario Brothers at this point? I mean, this is the game that pretty much not only put Nintendo on the map again, but pretty much launched Mario into the stratosphere and basically helped him become his own thing outside Donkey Kong Shadow. Sorry, Retro.
Yeah. The greatest Donkey Kong OC finally gets his star.
Right. Yeah. But
Careful,
yeah,
careful. I can feel the froth from here.
It's fine. Anyway, but yeah, it's not only because it also saved the industry from the crash in 1983, and it's also the game that helped me bond with my older brother because this is a game that I remember watching him playing the most, and I just grew so in love with this character and this world. So much so that I got obsessed with this whole thing, not just within the confines of the video game, but also in outside media. Let me put it this way. Some kids back in the day loved watching Sesame Street. Other kids back in the day loved watching Barney the Dinosaur. Me, I loved watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah!
That's how fucking obsessed I was with Mario at the time.
Heck yes.
Because, yes, just to give a quick rundown, basically there were three things that infant Seriously Funny was really into back in his earliest years. There were Legos, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Super Mario Brothers. That was basically it. So,
Yes.
of course, Ninja Turtles. Of course, Nintendo. What was I saying? Of course, the Ninja Turtles would be replaced by Sonic the Hedgehog later on, but that's another story altogether. But anyway,
I getcha.
And of course, I can't. Of course, back we were talking earlier about how other games like this got modded by fans over the years. That gets pretty much eclipsed by Mario Brothers over how many ROM hacks people have made of just this one singular game and all the improvements and all the various cosmetic skins that they've given. Like, for God's sake, can you think of another game where they've actually attached a character to a wheelchair and made that an entirely game all on its own? Like, seriously.
Oh, no, I can't. I can't.
No
I
way.
can't. I genuinely can't.
It's ridiculous.
It is. I remember, one of the first ever mods that I ever found out for Mario was actually through a YouTube video some maybe 15 years ago. Was Super Mario Brothers Frustration.
Yes!
Oh my god. Yeah, I got W Blue Sky Lives over here! If you remember that, please give yourself a pat on the back and get yourself a Veterans Medal.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. But that was Interest to Kaizo stuff, man. What a crazy time to be in with that kind of shit.
Yeah, and of course, before I go off this game, we have to talk about Duck Hunt a little bit, because, that was...
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, because,
Well, they managed to get to Smash.
It was big enough to get into Smash, and also, it's a relatively simple game. I can understand why they packaged it in with, not just Mario Brothers, but also with, what was it, Track and Field back in the day?
Track and Field Mario Bros. Duck Hunt cartridge, which I was going to say is even better. I mean, you get a free game out of it, so...
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, and of course, I'm not sure what gun you got back in the day, but I got the orange one, and...
I got the gray one.
Okay. To each their own. But yeah, Duck Hunt's a fun game on its own, although it's funny, was that like an arcade game back in the day? Because I suspect it was. Okay.
Actually, funny you mentioned this. I'm gonna do one more shout out. So if you were ever in Laconia, New Hampshire, okay, there is a place called Fun Spot. Fun Spot, where you have like 3 floors of games. One of them just so happens to be the Duck Hunt / Hogan's Alley arcade machine. With the guns included. So yes, it did start out as an arcade game, I believe, and then it was ported to the NES. So you are correct, and it is so much fun.
That makes sense. All right.
Oh my goodness, but yeah, what's to say about Duck Hunt though? I mean, it's still one of the most addicting games. Plus, I still can't believe this little tidbit never fazed me as a kid, but literally could control the ducks as player 2. What the hell? Nobody told me this. I could fuck with my brother, and I could be the duck. he would be playing Duck Hunt this entire time. I could just grab the controller, and then as soon as let's see you reach level 50. Oh my goodness, I love Duck Hunt though. I'm so glad that I have it for the Wii U though. I officially bought it years before the store shut down, which. If you need an actual way to play the game, I'm just saying it's easy and morally correct to hack your Wii U.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Anyway, Duck Hunt to me is still very much a romp. It's the same kind of addictive feeling as Donkey Kong for you. It's just that very short, very simple thing, but it's with a gun. I mean, how could you not love the gun? The gun is life. The gun is love. The gun can kill your enemies.
I mean, you want to put it that way, alright.
Oh, Christ.
If your enemies were ducks.
Oh my god, no!
Or pigeons, I guess. Pigeon
I guess so.
Oh, but fantastic. It's a great compilation no matter which one you choose, though. Mario Bros, I mean, it's Mario Bros. Is there anything we have to say about it?
At this point, I don't think so.
No. But alright, buddy. Alright, Saurus, play us off.
Alright then, this has been a fantastic ride. I know we've been here for like 2 hours now, but I hope you guys enjoyed it all. It certainly was a very nice experience for all of us, I think.
Heck yeah. Yeah, definitely was.
Okay,
what about the rest of you guys?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I look forward to doing more of these.
Oh, I am looking forward to doing more of these as well. So please let us know how you feel about these. Like, are these too long? Are these informative to you? I would love to hear your feedback so we can better these in the future. So, thank you very much for
stay tuned so that we could listen to one of our other editors' top 5 picks, because he was going to be in today, but he had a job thing. Otherwise, he would have. Otherwise, he'd have been with us and made this 3 hours possibly.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's all we have for today. I am Dagaminksaurus. I have a very annoying lisp today. I don't know why, but I will see you guys later.
It's called a British accent.
Yeah, it's called. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's funny.
Wow.
Sorry.
Anyway, that's it. So this is Dagaminksaurus signing off, and we'll see you guys later. Goodbye.
Take
See you
care.
later, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.